Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this National Handloom Day special hosted by Catalyst Learning Services. Today, we celebrate not only India's extraordinary handloom heritage, but the people who are reimagining its future. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Sanra Shaw, Chief Operating Officer of Rehwa Society and WomenWeave, a leader working at the intersection of handloom, women's economic empowerment, and sustainable artisan livelihoods. Based in Maheshwar, Madhya Pradesh, Sandra has been instrumental in strengthening artisan-led institutions, creating market opportunities for women weavers, and proving that India's handloom sector is, along with preserving tradition, also about building sustainable livelihoods, entrepreneurship, and inclusive development. Just before the session started, in fact, Sandra and I got in a informal chat, and she was mentioning about how countries across the globe are actually they always look up to the various design elements which come through our handloom sector. We are going to discover that as Sandra unravels her journey throughout. What makes today's conversation especially very dear to all of us is that Sandra is a Catalyst alumna, and it is incredibly inspiring to see her journey from a young professional with a passion for social impact to a leader shaping one of India's most iconic craft ecosystem. Sandra is also a TEDx speaker. She is a passionate advocate for women-led development. This podcast, we are going to explore career pathways in the handloom sector through Sandra's eyes. We are going to explore the inclusion of artificial intelligence and to what extent is it shaping the industry of handloom, climate action, entrepreneurship, and the immense opportunity which India's handloom sector offers to the next generation. Sandra, thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking out from your valuable and busy schedule. It is wonderful to have you with us and wishing you as well as everyone who is watching our podcast a very happy National Handloom Day. Without any further delay, I would hand over the session to Sandra. And Sandra, of course, one of the very critical aspects which many of our viewers would be really inquisitive to understand from your end is going to be the fact that what made you choose in the first place wanting to work in India's handloom sector? Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you. Such an elaborate introduction. It's quite humbling as well as something which motivates. I think it is an add-on respect and mutual agreement where we say that, that we have to help each other to move forward in whatever career or path we choose. So, and I'm always and forever grateful to Catalyst that it actually helped me to achieve my dream. It's a very, I want to start my journey also by answering how my journey with Catalyst started and how it took a very different turn, because some might think that how a student of a social science background landed in a handloom sector and now leading a management, which requires an MBA degree actually, like a top IM institute needs those, someone who's leading an institution as a CEO needs degree like that. So it's a very emotional as well as a very humbling journey, because when I was preparing for Catalyst, my aim and my goal was very clear that after my UG from Dorito, I want to get into TIS because it's a premium institute. And that time, TIS was also, not that time, even today, TIS is very well reputed and respected social science institute. And that time we didn't have much of knowledge that where should we apply. Like, though we had a lot of central universities and this and that, but this offered a very different kind of curriculums like development management or rural management, which was not available in a lot of universities, state government or central government. So maybe that is what which actually attracted me. But it was very unfortunate that I got through my test exams and I also got through my GD. But for PI, for my first interview, I had to travel to Hyderabad and Guwahati. Those were my areas where I applied. And unfortunately, my BA exams, my graduate final exams were just coinciding with those dates. And I had to miss my exam. So it was a little tragic. I was really heartbroken that my year-long hard work just got into vain. But now everything is paying off. I got into Pondicherry University again because definitely I practiced all the test series. I learned my lessons. I understood how the logical reasoning and everything which is taught in that classes work because I was really scared of maths and all those things. How will I crack and this and that? But because Pondicherry is also Central University, so they have central exams like Hyderabad Central University, BHU, and everything. So that instilled a confidence in me that so what, I missed this, but I can sit for other central universities. So though I didn't have a plan BC, but then this plan B actually shaped my career. So now jumping forward, this was a little history with Catalyst and how my journey shaped there and took a different turn. I did my master's in political science. Then, after completing my master's, I came back to Kolkata to basically start preparing for my NET exams, for start doing my PhD and academia. And my core area was basically international relations and economic, like political economy, you can say, from China and Belt and Road Initiative. All those areas were my core areas. But when I came back home, I thought, it has been a long academic year, a career like schooling, college, university. And since my core area was China and India, I had to travel to China, shift to China basically to do my PhD, I thought, let me take a break and let me understand my country because I'm a city girl, I'm a Kolkata girl. And when I went, because I think studying in a central university is a very different what will I say, different kind of experience which you will have, a learning experience because you meet different kind of people from different states and places. Like I'm there in Bengal, but I hardly knew about a lot of northeastern communities, tribes. But I was so lucky to study in a central university, and they all were there. So all these things, basically instilled and motivation are a kind of a tingling that let me go deeper into my own country before shifting out. So this was a big change. I did a fellowship, and through that, I was placed into an NGO, and then from there, basically, my career started. And it was mostly with women empowerment and livelihood. And handloom was again just one of the livelihood opportunity or sector which was there. Rural sector is a big industry. Being from a city, we always think, oh, it's a corporate, oh, we should go into big houses, we should have an AC cabin or this and that, or we should have a 12 LPA package or all these things. We are unfortunately we just have that path to walk. But then, if you look the other side of the coin, there is a very different world which is here and which needs people who are educated, who are trained, who understands human behavior. Now, that is a big point, and that is a bridge between what I studied as a social science student and what I'm implementing as a business entrepreneur right now. I can say if I'm that by running this business here because I understand human behavior and the basics of how sustainable business should be built, how the climate should be taken care of, how the people should be taken care of, what is a circular economy, and how it is in the end benefiting our country and people involved in it. So I think this entire mechanism, it's maybe easily said, but it's really important that if you study the right kind of courses and the right kind of subjects, you will understand. Like philosophy, it's a very small part until unless you do an MPhil. It's a very small part, but when you study a social science, be it history, political science, sociology, geography, anything, economics, you will understand the human behavior. So I think that is the most important point, and from there basically everything just stems out, everything. Yes.
Right. Great. That's a very interesting, I would say, setting the tone, Sandra. We are very curious to know. One is that your current location, you're sitting at a place which looks like a shop. There are a lot of fabric all around you, as we can see. So, for Sandra working in the handloom sector, if you can also share with us, what is your typical day at work? Because that is something that people would want to understand. Because as you mentioned, that being in cities, being or aspiring for cities and urban spaces in our country, the handloom or the textile that possibly we are wearing on a daily basis, lot of us tend to believe that there is an artisan and a weaver who is selling their product to a seller. But if you would just like to help us understand that what is your typical day of work, the value chain of the handloom sector at large, or whichever way you want to share that with us, and where are you currently sitting? What is this entire very wonderful place? That we can see. It's not a virtual background for sure.
Yes. So, just to give you a bit of contrast, I think that will really help everyone to understand how the system works differently here. So, for example, I have a sister and she's working in an IT sector, and they are processing data, interacting, and then that data, whatever is processed, it's implemented on ground from by any company or by any firm. Here, this thing is just different. My day typically starts by interacting with the artisans. I just go around the looms, I talk to them. Is there anything necessary for you to weave this cloth, or what is the progress of work? Then I visit different kind of units. Like for example, right now I'm sitting at WomenWeave. That's one of the projects which I lead. And WomenWeave is basically into khadi. And khadi, as you know, is something which is different from what everyone wears in their daily life. That's a spun cotton, and khadi is basically yarns which is spun by hand. So we have a spinning unit where the cotton is processed and we spin the yarns. Then we have a weaving unit where we weave those yarns on loom. Then we make the fabrics. Then we have a quality checking unit. Everything is run by women. And each and every thread which is coming out from the fabric is QC'd, and then it's packed, labeled, tagged, and then shipped. Since we are shipping globally, though we are working in a very small village, which is I think hardly 5-6 kilometers, just the entire town is based out of. But then the market is global. I think sitting in a small office, we are shipping to Switzerland, Europe, America, any part of the country, and obviously in India, in different parts. So that's a typical day where basically just interacting with the community, understanding what is the orders, what is the client inquiry, what did do they need as per their understanding of textiles, of designs. It's more of handloom and design. That is, it's more narrower and specific. But in any handloom sector or in any basically NGO or social sector, because previously in my previous organization, it was actually a typical NGO where we worked with women in different livelihood. So this is the rule. This is the daily operations. You just go meet the community, then sit on a table, and then you start working. Okay, this is what I need to do for my community today. So that is how it works.
That's amazing. That's a very wholesome experience, I must say. So, Sandra, you started off talking about how it all began, right? And you mentioned about the places where you studied and the exposure that you received, and of course now you're working, and working is so much about on a daily basis trying to solve a problem, right? Trying to meet a requirement. And then you also mentioned that in your daily work, you are interacting with weavers, trying to uh, bridge the orders that you're receiving and actually be able to deliver it, on time, right? With the right level of quality, of course, that we understand. So, for someone who is very curious and is very passionate about, let's say, starting to work in the handloom sector, what could be some of the really important top of the head skills and competence that you feel should be very important? Like, someone who could be looking at even an employment opportunity, someone could even be looking at an entrepreneurial opportunity. But overall, what do you think are certain fundamental skills which are very important if someone wants to build a pathway in the handloom sector?
Yes. For handloom sector and also overarchingly for the development sector, I think the skills and the traits are just all same. first is to understand people. I think that is the most important skill which anyone needs to have, because in the end, it's social sector or development sector, you have to interact and work with the community directly. It is something like a teacher-student relationship also, that the student, though have the blackboard, smartboard, whiteboard, whatever mechanism you use, be it even online, but the student and the teacher ratio or the relationship is very interpersonal, right? So it's same in this sector. It is very interpersonal. So that relationship has to be there. A. B, as I just gave an example, like a student teacher, you actually come here as someone who has that opportunity to be educated in a good institute, who has some knowledge which this community don't have, like maybe speaking good English or having that understanding of the global market. You can study the trends. If I just talk about handloom sector, what is happening, what colors are working, what patterns are working. Maybe like we always have a color of the year. What is the color of the year? And what is the texture? What is the weight? And you can actually use your skills like mathematical skills to measure a garment, to weigh something, to use, okay, we can do maybe like printing, eco printing, block printing. Like I can just go on and on, but these things are very pertinent, and only someone who has some kind of a knowledge and understanding to balance this a and to deliver it with the local community. Because in the end, though you will have those knowledge and expert, but in the end you have to work with the local person. You can't just go there and start talking in English and okay, that's done, and give one piece of paper and they will do their work. No, you have to have the patience. You have to understand what they are capable of. You have to build their capacity. So capability is meeting capacity. So this is the second point. And third, definitely, whatever this sustainability, what I'm saying is basically that someone who's going to work here will need to also understand that these systems are very, very not weak is not the correct word, but very need, because they need people like us. So we have to create an ecosystem which is sustainable, so that even if we move out, this system should work. So someone who has this critical thinking, how to form systems, how to work, like there are few courses like systems thinking, human-centered design, which Acumen does. And it's very nice. A lot of people are doing that. So these really help us to understand that. So, and that is why it is really necessary that we should learn this practical skills, because definitely we are learning everything through the theory books, but the practicality is when you just learn all the skills. So I think these are the top three skills, and then it's up to you how you take it forward, but this is what it's very important.
Thanks, Sandra. I think Deepali also shares her sentiments, supports your viewpoint. Thank you, Deepali, for sharing that comment. Sandra, I picked up a word during your answer that you took an example of a teacher-student relationship, and I just wanted to understand that you see, we talk about so many sectors, so many innovation right from school level nowadays, right? I'm sure during your school days, you have observed that, okay, there are certain type of disciplines and domains and sectors that we used to hear when we were in school. Nowadays, let's say, imagine that artificial intelligence is becoming a very overarching word that we are hearing across, from schools to colleges to universities to workplaces to institutions. I am holding on to the artificial intelligence question for a little longer, but I actually want to know from your end, Sandra, that did you ever feel while working that wish school, colleges, universities, or let's say organizations like Catalyst Learning Services can actually do these little things to inspire more young people uh, to be able to look at the handloom sector as a potential area where they can grow with, a potential area, where they can invest their skills. So would you have any such little maybe tips, if we can share that back with our stakeholders in school, colleges and universities per se? as well as we can also adopt that, Sandra, in the coming days. Thank you.
Yes. I think there's a very beautiful movie. I think a lot of people would have seen that. It's Manthan. It's about Amul, and it's in YouTube and it's free. It's a little long movie, but that's focusing more on cooperatives and how people should form it. But this is how handloom sector or any livelihood sector work. Basically, it's the people, the cooperation, and forming the cooperatives. So if anyone wants to understand the skill or whatever, how to motivate or make them basically understand this entire sector or how this mechanism work, is how people work in this sector. It's just that maybe we can have a conversation like this, that where we are discussing that, listen, I will just see that this is an example, this is a place where people need job, need work, need people like us. And you should be actually motivated, because if I'm coming to an institute like Catalyst Learning Services and I want to do an impactful change in this society, I have that fire burning in my heart, because I think the reason why I chose social sciences among science or commerce, though I love them and that's a different purview, but it's because I wanted to do something for the people, directly with the people working in all those sectors. So those things are there. And when I come to this institute and I look forward and I look up to that, they will provide me some kind of a training how to get into this. So this is very important when you go through a formal training, that's masters and everything and cracking exam. But in order to get into specific sectors like the handloom or the textile or anything, I think people should interact. They should form a group, like it might be a WhatsApp group or an Insta group or whatever group, and maybe just sharing news articles, sharing reports, sharing uh, videos, clips, reels, or anything which is happening in this sector, which is very important. For example, the founder of Rehwa and WomenWeave is actually a woman, and she has a degree in political science. Not at all a textile person, nothing. And she's an American woman, married to an Indian prince, and came to India. So someone who's coming from a different country had no knowledge in 1960s when it was so difficult. And coming and working and forming this entire business model, which is still standing strong after 50 years, is something which is commendable and which is an example that this is not something which is very weak and you can't do it. So some such examples should be discussed, like when we see the Padma Shri list or the Padma Bhushan list. A lot of these awards are given to artisans, not just handloom, but any handicrafts, which is getting lost. Like even handloom, I believe every state and every district has its own intricate kind of textiles which our forefathers or ancestors used to wear. And I think a lot of young people are coming forward. I think the new generation, they are wearing it, they are understanding it, they're trying to revive it, because that's our culture. It's just not livelihoods, it's just not handloom, it's our culture. This is what we are. Like, for example, if someone is coming from Bengal, like Jamdani is famous. I don't want to talk about Jamdani, but if someone is coming from Bengal and is wearing Baluchuri or Sonachuri, like people in Bengal, they know about these saris. But when I see someone wearing it outside Kolkata, I feel like, wow, someone is wearing, and it has such mythological, like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, which is woven in that palla. And when I was there in that city, I didn't know about the history. I didn't know about the culture, though my mom had those saris. I know it's just silk saris, expensive sari, and that's it. And it's beautiful and everything. We wear it in marriages. But now, since I'm more aware and I can see around, I see that no, it's carrying culture. The entire, like even for Orissa, they have a coat part sari. It's a, like there are a lot. I can just keep on naming them. But they, those tribals, they weave those textiles and they weave the fish, the bird, their own tribal identity on those textiles. So it's a culture. It's same like our language. If today I say I'm coming in Bengal, that will not speak Bengali anymore. Everyone will speak English or Spanish or French. That's a loss. We're losing our identities, something like this. So I think when we are discussing such sensitive matter, it can just start with a topic of discussion, like let's just have a debate today, and that's the tipping point. Maybe I just diverted from my topic by talking about this. But then basically, this is what I want to say.
Right, right. No, no, of course. I think we completely understand your sentiments, Sandra, and I think that's where the identity aspect that you have uh, brought in, which was about to be part of my next question coming to my mind, because the Gen Z, which who are driving our country, they are no doubt taking things forward in many different ways, constructively. You were mentioning, even prior to the chat, that they are deconstructing also several norms for the better, right? Whether it is the way clothes are imagined, and whether the ways patterns are imagined. Just trying to understand, Sandra, from your end, because India is a country with a such vast population of artisans and weavers and craftsperson who are upholding our handloom, our tradition, our stories, our mythology, our societal aspects, through design, through fabric. What do you feel? Just asking you, and you need not always be required to give, let's say, a constructive answer, but some starting point where India's brand identity, right, can be very proudly handloom. I'm just trying to make it a little, I would say, biased towards handloom, because we are talking about handloom. It's National Handloom Day. But India as a country, sometimes we get a little confused, if I may say, about what holds our identity. Unlike maybe certain European countries, whose name becomes synonymous with maybe a product or a produce, right? Or maybe something very special to them, whether it is, fragrance, whether it is art, whether it is a certain product. How can Gen Z, our uh, bulk of our population, if I may put it in that way, including us, of course, what could be certain steps in which we can be proudly a handloom proud nation? What could be like a start to that campaign, Sandra? Thank you.
I think they have already started. In the recent years, especially in the last 3, 4 years, I've been seeing, even in different campuses. Like we are lucky. I am lucky that I am from Calcutta and Bengal, which actually values textiles, hand block, and everything handcrafted. But in different cities like Delhi, Bombay, such more modern cities, even in college campuses, students are wearing handloom, and they're just not wearing any saris with a backless blouse, but they are, which actually they used to idolize from Bollywood. Let's dress up like Alia Bhatt. So that's not a big problem. That's not at all there. But then wearing something, even the Bollywood stars like Alia Bhatt, like Kareena, I've been recently seeing that someone is wearing bandhani, someone is wearing ajrak. So, like Christopher Nolan was here to promote Odyssey. He wore an ajrak tie because I love ajrak print, so that's why I was very fan, and I love Christopher Nolan. So I think people, they are coming. They understand. We have actually started walking that path, that we are propagating our identity by wearing those clothes like saris. So just to give you a personal example, I was recently in US. I just came back last week, and I was representing WomenWeave in an international exhibition where different countries were participating: Africa, Europe, Central Asia, and everyone. So, lot of American women, they were wearing saris, and they were coming and showing me, see Sandra, how is the pala looking? So, and they are excited, and they know about the technique. They were discussing, this is from Orissa, this is from there. So I think we have already made a mark there. But the next step forward is definitely people who are there in this sector or in this livelihood, is basically we need more and more people here, because this is vast. Just to give you a bit of stats, handloom sector in rural India is the second largest employer after agriculture. That is how big it is. It's not glamorized. Whenever I talk to anyone about handloom and they ask me question, how are you staying? How are you staying in a village? You're a city girl living Kolkata and staying in a village. I say them the simple thing. It's a good business. It's the best business. It's just it's not glamorized. Staying in a village is not glamorized. Maybe sitting in this kind of an environment for some people are not glamorized. They like peace in this. But the kind of dignity you will have after doing such work, because I say everyone that I love my job like anything in this world. I am so lucky. It might be a manifestation which I had. I love what I do because when I go back to sleep at night, I know I love my community. I'm contributing to someone, to this community. And in the end, this community is contributing to my own country GDP. And handloom, definitely, that's textile, those colors, this because different community carrying their own identity through handloom, through the textiles, storytelling. They have that, this was the cloth which was used to be worn by that king, and then that is worn by this women and princesses. The prince and the queen used to wear this, the peasants used to wear this. Oh my God. I think my next goal in life is to do a PhD in textile. I just want to find the right course to do. But I love what I do. And like a lot, and it's surprising because, it's a very small town here. I keep on hosting young volunteers and interns from across the world, not just this country, like Germans, Americans, Italians. And all these people are coming here and they ask questions like, tell me about the yarn or tell me about the colors or what is the history. So these people are coming from different parts of the country. Japan, I think the recent best market I've been starting seeing influx is Japanese. They have gone crazy about Indian textiles and they are coming and they are doing business. Like whatever textiles you can see behind me is all going to abroad. So I think there's a lot to do. The community is here, the resources are here, everything is here. What we need is the right fit to fall in this place and the right mindset that I'm here to help and here to struggle. So, yeah, these are the right things. And Generation Z or Z is best in doing so because they are accepting challenges. I have seen a lot of young boys wearing saris as dhotis. I am just in love with the kind of openness they have in expression. I'm just sharing that, being a millennial, we were educated to wear certain kind of, we have to dress in a certain way, or this is for men, or that is for women. No, I think the young generation have broken all those norms. The young boys are wearing saris as dhotis, the young girls are wearing kurtas on jeans, but they are wearing and they are expressing. So I think clothes and textiles and handloom is the best form of expression and their will how to basically talk about themselves.
How fabulous, Sandra. I mean, technology and textile, if I can put it in that way. Coming to this question, I would like to know, because this is a question that we have had on our minds for many months now, and I specifically saved this question so that I can ask you, is that, Sandra, to what extent are you observing artificial intelligence being used by the weavers community?
Hmm. Um, um, For example, again, I was in Banaras, and if I think a lot of people wear Banarasi and in weddings and everything. So if someone knows that how Banarasi is woven, it's woven using a method which is like a machine which is jacquard basically to form those intricate patterns. So previously, what used to happen is if I need a flower in a sari or a textile, there is a person who punch cards, like then someone who's making basically on the graph the flower, and then the flower is punched on card and that card is placed on the jacquard, and then that's woven and everything, all those intricacies. So I was there in Banaras recently, few months back. Now that punch card is being replaced by just a box of machine where you add the graph and the you don't need to punch the card anymore, it's coming directly on the loom. So and the artisans are using, we are not doing anything, the artisans are using directly. So that's a that the work is being faster, the designs will be more precise, more experiments can be done in design, and more young people can come into it, the designers community can come into this has been simplified. But also on the other side, if you will see the people who used to punch cards, they have lost their livelihood. So it's a like all sector, I would say, like for AI, even the IT, that is the sector which has been affected in the biggest manner, is that they know that it is affecting. Some jobs are being lost, but again, some jobs are also being created. You just need to adopt. When we had no phones, we were writing letters. Then we started doing pager, I think typewriting and pager, and then you had the cordless and then wired phone. Now we're using cell phones and then whatnot. So maybe in future we might not even have cell phone. So these things are there, but we are adopting. It's just that it's a transitional period. I think AI is something which is very new, and people should learn about it. You don't need to be a data scientist or someone who needs to understand that. But even in our educational, I think, syllabus and curriculum, that should be included in our school syllabus, in our college, in our universities, maybe a smaller sections or soft courses or supplementary courses, whatever is called, basics of AI, how we can implement it, and so that that though some people are losing job, but at least you can train them and create new jobs. Like someone is going to make that machine in the end, someone is going to replace that. So it's a transitional period and it's a learning thing, a learning aspect. So I think a lot of things can be done there. I think a new course or someone who's an expert in AI can actually come and work. Because recently we were hosting IIT Indore. That's the nearest IIT which we have, and they were just all they very senior professors were here, and they have no relation with handloom, and they were just asking me how should we contribute. I said that we have a river flowing nearby. Few of the chemical dyes are just maybe who are not educated or who don't know, who don't have the facility to dispose the chemical waters. They just dispose it in the river, which is harming the marine life, which is harming our artisanal life. In the end, that is coming back to our drinking water. How do you want to treat that water? That's it. How do you want to create a plant? So there's a lot of things which you can do. The fumes which is releasing in the air, these all things are there. So that's there, like a lot of things can be done. It's just that now currently we are also discussing this same topic about AI and how we can involve the Indian weavers and students. With right now we're discussing with an institute in New York, which is Pratt, and it's a very famous design institute, and we are discussing with them how we can bridge that gap and bring the students from Pratt from New York who are experts in this fast mechanisms, AI and everything, and a weaver on a same platform, and have a seminar, a workshop. So there's a lot of things which can be done, but then we're still learning and adapting. So that's there. Nothing to be scared, I think.
Right. I think you shared a very valid point, Sandra, that at the end of the day, as you gave example of the river flowing, the ecosystem is very critical at the end of the day for the quality of life of our weavers as well as everyone around the handloom ecosystem. So we see over the years, Sandra, that the corporate social responsibility sector, the CSR sector in India, which is close to now almost, let's say, 12 years running, if I take into account 2013, 2014, when the Companies Act came in, trying to understand from your end that because through Catalyst, we tend to work very closely with a lot of these, CSR collectives. What could be, if I may ask you, like a pitch which I can share back to them from your end, right? As handloom being a investable sector as we speak, because everyone knows about handloom, right? But does not necessarily mean that it is getting prioritized in their CSR mandates always, right? So, what could be, Sandra, that from your end, like a pitch that I can share with many of the CSR ecosystems, many of our former mentees like you, who are working. They could be even from close to your batch or senior or junior to you. But what can be like a pitch that we can share in terms of the like impact investment in the handloom sector for
I
CSR?
think the biggest the first thing what the CSR firm or company looks for is the number of beneficiaries and the impact they're creating. These are the two primary things for them. And just to give an example, currently we have funding like because we also have the Handloom School, apart from WomenWeave and Rehwa, which is a business entity, but Handloom School is totally CSR dependent and funded program where we train young weavers into residency and certification and everything. So that is totally CSR funded. And currently, like we have a funding from SBIF Foundation and Forbes Foundation. And when during the funders meeting, you can, if you ask me the right question, uh, the first thing which I talk to them is about the number of life which is going to be impacted. Like, for example, if you're going to invest in us or in the school, and in turn we are training one weaver, that weaver can also, I'll cut back to the handloom school question, and if that weaver is going back to their own village, and that weaver can't do the entire work by himself, because to produce one handloom textile, we need around 12 people. There is one farmer which is involved to pluck the cotton, to grow the cotton, pluck the cotton. Then there is ginning, then there is spinning, then there is dyeing, then there is warping, wefting, and weaving and quality checking. So around 12 to 13 livelihoods are impacted to weave one piece of fabric. So that is the level of trickle down effect which someone can have. So if you're investing in one weaver, and in that one weaver who will in turn become an entrepreneur, goes back and start their own brand or start something in their own self, that person will at least employ 10 people, 10 artisans. And then that 10 artisans will employ more 10 artisans. So it's a big network and web by through which it's been working in such a manner. That's A. And so that is the number of beneficiaries, what they're going to impact, and that is the level of thing they're having. And second, definitely it's the income, the revenue, which is going to be generated first to their family, and second in this country. Because Indian, it's an homogenized product. It's something which is contributing in this own country. Maybe we are not doing something which is machine or something which is we are importing from outside. We are doing everything here on ground and exporting it out. So that is basically generating money. So these two, three things, and definitely, and there's a lot of other aspects like migration. Whenever, because I was here on field during the 2 years of COVID, especially the first time, and I have always read about migration and partition in my history and political science book. It was a saddening event. I saw migration and it broke my heart. I saw people with bundle of clothes on their head walking on the streets when everything was shut and closed. I was lucky I had food in my on my plate and I was in a room safe. But they were walking barefoot in the heat. A lot of people died. So it was a very scary situation. But when you work in this sector, you basically avoid migration, because who is migrating? The rural people, the people, maybe the farmer's son or the handloom weaver's son, daughter, because they don't have any work. So they are migrating. One second, my camera got off. Yeah. So they are migrating. So these two, three things are very critical. There are more aspects in this, but I think
There's a little network lag. We should get Sandra back.
yes. I'm audible? Yeah. So I think with fundraising, there are a lot of things which we can discuss, but since we have to be on point because they don't have so much of time to discuss and talk, these are the two, 3 points which can be pitched to any CSR project, especially if it's related to the handloom sector. That is, A, you are helping to generate employment, B, helping to generate revenue in this country, C, stopping migration, and basically preserve, and last is preserving our culture and heritage, because as I said, like a food cuisine, like a language, clothes and textiles are something which is innate to us. That is an expression. So that needs to be there. Yes. The handloom school. Is my camera getting off automatically?
I think so. That's okay. You can, if you want, you can continue. Yes, great.
Yeah, I'll continue then stop next. So, regarding the question with the handloom school, so handloom school is basically a project by WomenWeave, where we have a campus here and we have two, three programs. We provide certification, and basically that's like where we select weavers across the country who come and do residential training here, who basically learn how to do business, do basic of costings, understand demand, supply, learn designs, and subject experts from different institute come and teach them like English or communication, how to use Instagram to do business because these are weavers. They're not someone who had that opportunity to go into a college, get graduated. Most of them are class 8, 10 pass. So that is a big program which we do here. Every year the program starts in winter, 3 to 4 months, and that's a residential program. And then in summers we do another program where we train women because migration, as I mentioned, is a big, big issue in any part. So what happens is mostly we observe that the men and children, the young children, they migrate out of town of rural area. Women and children are always the one who are left behind. So women mostly prefer to learn handloom also because in a handloom sector you have a closed space. You can have a handloom setup in your own house where you can cook your food, look after the children, also do the weaving. And but in agriculture the women has to there under the harsh sun and everything. So even women prefer handloom a lot. So we do these programs there. We have our own campus and we train them into handloom weaving. They are non-weavers and housewives and everything, but then we teach them for 5 6 months how to do handloom weaving, and then they are gradually absorbed by the local masters who have their own businesses. So there are 2 3 programs, and then definitely we do a lot of learning, seminars, workshops with institutes who, like as I mentioned, Parsons, Pratt, Royal Enfield. We are working with them right now. A lot of different craft NGOs, they also reach out to us that we want to do some training program. Can you come and take some sessions? How is color theory? So all these things are there.
Great. I hope, Dipali, your query has been raised. If you have any further question, you may ask.
Yes, actually, I want to ask, is this funded by the government or is it like running under the government institute or some handloom textile department? How is it
Yeah.
exactly?
No, it's an independent project. It's totally CSR funded. So it's a because Women Weave is a private NGO and it's a non-for-profit. It's we have no relation with the government, and we do fundraising throughout the year, and whatever funds we receive, we use to run this program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, Sandra, what you have shared with us is very enriching. There is so much that, as you mentioned, we can look forward to the handloom sector. And we are at the end of our podcast. And but before we round this off, just want to understand from your end that where do you see Indian handloom sector heading to? I mean, because this is a question that people always want to understand that, okay, what is the future of handloom? Is handloom supposed to be the way it is? Are there going to be improvisations in the handloom sector? Because, as you said, that uh, the patterns are changing, but are we kind of going back to how we started from, let's say, moving out of the fast consumer based approach to a more slow, steady based approach? Because questions like sustainability, emission, local produce is becoming very, very critical in everyone's dialogue nowadays. So, where do you see, Sandra? We are again not wanting to necessarily understand very specifically, but what could be the future trends that you would like to share with us, and also a message that you would like to leave for students, educators, mentors like us, young professionals, corporates, policymakers who wish to contribute to this incredible sector? Thank you.
I think first, there is a lot to do in this sector. People should be motivated, and then they should be believing that they can actually come and contribute in this sector, irrespective of whatever degrees you have. Those are the professional and formal educational degrees that do not define your journey. Degree and education is just a form of or a process by which you gain knowledge of how to implement those knowledge in a practical life. So anyone can basically come and work in this sector. That's A. B, if someone here is a fashion enthusiast, would have seen a very recent show by Rahul Mishra. He's a very famous designer. And he basically designed clothes which was inspired by Indian sculptures. So, and it was mind blowing. Like Sabyasachi is from Kolkata, from Bengal. We are a place and a birthplace of big designers and brands and everything. Fab India started the journey there. So I think, especially if I talk about the city and a state, it's a birthplace of a lot of textiles and designs and entrepreneurs and business ideas. And if I talk about a country, we have a huge space which is ready to supply rich textiles and beautiful craft and everything. What we need is someone who is there to work with them. That's A. Because as I said that it's the second largest employment rural sector in India. That's it. But also when you were just talking about fast fashion, because I myself have been to, I don't want to discredit it, but space like Zudio or somewhere like that, then I have definitely purchased few things from there. But after a few years, when you see all these fashion which is changing, and when you read articles that the textile industry is the second or the almost in the world first most polluting industry in the world, the textiles which is not being used is just there in the landfills. So we are also not doing good for our environment. What is going to happen with the environment also? So I think people who are from different walks of life, like policymakers, someone who's working in a climate change, someone who's working in textile, or someone who wants to are doing a study in sociology, history, culture, whatever, rural management. Everyone has a role to contribute in this sector. Everyone. Like you can study about the rural management, you can do something about the development sector, you can come to a managerial role. An environmentalist can come and study the entire ecosystem of this space. Okay, this water should not be dirtied, or this cotton cannot be disposed like that. The silk can be done there, the zari can be disposed like that. So there's a lot to do here. What we need is the right kind of maybe updating our curriculum, because right now what we have is really good. But then in recent years, we have also been deviating to a vocational kind of courses. So maybe we have a lot of courses like musical and singing and everything. Why not something which is handloom? Maybe field immersions can be there. Or maybe it can be in your curriculum. Like we have I was from Calcutta Girls, we had home science. If we are teaching girls how to cook food, why not also try your hands on a handloom? Or maybe knitting, or maybe sewing, something which is really nice. I think that's really integral. And the educational person or whoever is want to do something, implement into it. I think it can be started from the school level itself, and you don't have to wait that someone is postgraduate and graduated, and then you have to impart that knowledge. Oh, listen, this is a handloom, and this is what it's textile. No, it's what we wear. It is our culture. It should be there from the start. So yeah, it's. I think it's not something which I'm speaking or talking, which is something very different. It's just that we need to implement into our daily life. I think that is the simplest form, and that is a thought I would like to leave everyone with. That it's something which is very commonly available. What we need to do is just identify it and honor it.
Great. Identify and honor it. I think that's a great, format. Just before we round off, because Deepali had asked a question and we have Arnob out here. Arnob, any final questions you would like to put
Yes, yes.
before we
Actually,
round the session. Yeah.
yeah. Am I audible?
You're audible
Yes.
on. Go ahead. Yes.
It's my distinct privilege to know about this great endeavors. I mean, thanks to Sandra ma'am. Sandra ma'am, one thing I want to know that how you are got response from the outside of country, from around the globe, and what is your key products you are exporting right now? Top three products.
Okay. There's a huge demand in the global market because, as I said, I was just there in a fair, international fair last week in US, and people were going crazy with chicken curry because chicken curry is something, it's like very normal, nice cotton and hand embroidery cloth which is there, but people were like, oh, it's cotton, it's soft, and it's original, it's organic, because I think people in the Western world, they are more being aware about the organic form of the textile which they are wearing, because
Okay.
disease like skin cancer or all these things are starting getting just reaching them, and they are also more aware, and I would say more alert in what they're choosing to wear. So that's there. That there is a huge demand there. Like as I said about mentioning about coat part. Coat part was a simple sari which was woven by a tribal community in Odisha. And but now it's in the global market. Everyone is wearing coat part, ikkat. All these things are beautiful and people are loving it. Like Central Asia, the Asian countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all the people are coming with embroideries. We have a vast uh, depository of these textiles like embroidery, handloom, and everything. So, yes, there's definitely a potential. What we need is the correct form of marketing technique, which we should have,
Okay.
and be a storytelling. That is the most important thing. You just can't have one fabric, click a picture, and photo dal diya कि बस अब आ जाएगा. It doesn't work like that. You have to, if you're working especially in a handloom sector or handcrafted sector, you also have to show the people behind it. You have to also show the hard work which is there. Because I'm being very honest, handloom is not cheap. It's expensive. It's something. It's sad that which our country started, like Gandhiji started khadi and everything, which everyone should wear, but it has become expensive because people are not doing these work. So we need more people to do this work and to make it a part of our daily life gradually. That's it. Now, to be more specific of what we export, the first item what we export is fabrics, because that is the most number of textile or the largest business part. Because the fabric you can use to make garments, you can use to make home furnishing and everything. So that's easily option. Second, definitely we have towels. It's very funny. We do second export is towels because it's cotton, pure cotton. And third, it's saris at Rehwa. WomenWeave is there, but Maheshwari Sen at Rehwa, we make a lot of Maheshwari. So our Indian community outside our country, they are dying for Indian textiles there. So that is a big opportunity. And definitely even the foreigners, they love the silks, the colors which we make, like the ikkats, dyeings. So all these, then Indian attires are also the third, I would say, products which is exporting a lot.
Okay, thanks a lot. Since I am associated with the tourism industry, my friend, his name is Trishanku Banerjee. He's an avid traveler and he travel across the globe, and he has a tourism company named Explorer. So in Explorer, we do have our different customers from all across the globe. So, if we need to promote our own culture and heritage, I think tourism is a good way to promote it.
Yes,
So, in through Explorer, we are trying to give our customer different tastes of our different states, different colors, the colors of India, those we are famous for. So through Explorer, we are trying to showcase our different skill sets. Our organic, the organic is, globally, people are, especially the young generations, are moving towards organic things.
hmm.
Less carbon footprint. So these are the global coinage terms nowadays.
Yeah.
So I think in through tourism we can promote this stuff. The our own cultures and our own textiles, even the different handicrafts. Both are the in same palette. So I think I'm looking forward to collaborate some collaborative work, maybe it's your organization or maybe other rural person or maybe a group. We can collab together to promote our own heritage, culture heritage, and both we can earn the government remittance that can develop our here in the society as well. So
Definitely. I think working with the handloom school, we do have an access to a lot of handloom clusters in this country. Like being from Bengal, I'm traveling to Assam and Nagaland in the next 1 week. So, and West India, South India, North India. So I think, as you rightly said, traveling is the best mechanism.
yes,
And
yes,
through your travel firm or brand, you can actually promote these. And right now, media is a big tool. I think hardly anyone is sitting on that television and just sitting there. Social media and all these reels,
yes, yes.
YouTube, it has become a big platform. So I think
Yeah.
we should definitely see something how we can work.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Wish you all the best
Thank
with
you,
your great
Arno.
endeavors.
Thank you for your
Thank
question.
you.
Thank you for your collaboration proposal. That is exactly, one of the many objectives for which we keep hosting um,
Absolutely, sir.
innovators like Sanra, innovators like you. Thank you, Dipali, for
Mm.
also joining us. And on that note, from Catalyst Learning Services, we want to round off this session. This has been one of the most endearing, enriching, emancipating, empowering, enabling discussion through the eyes of Sandra. And as she mentioned, that we have to be proud of our handloom, we have to be proud of our heritage. We should not at all be ever low on confidence or clarity about the country's culture through our weaves. So, Sandra, thank you so much for spending your time with us. We wish you the best in your journey ahead. We look forward to see you contribute more proactively into our handloom sector and beyond. As you rightly mentioned, that the sector is not only creating fabric, but it is also touching millions of lives. It is creating a quality of life which is pervading across communities, across states, across union territories, and also across geography. So that is the power of the handloom, if I can put it in that way. And of course, it's been a great pleasure and honor for me, on behalf of the Catalyst family, to be able to host this session, and wishing everyone, every viewer on this podcast, a very happy National Handloom Day. As Sandra puts it, proudly wear your handloom and talk about it to everyone around you like a true proud Indian. Thank you so much, Sandra, once more for this.
Thank you, everyone. Happy National Handloom Day and see you all tomorrow. And do tag everyone at National Handloom Day.
Happy National Handloom Day. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.